The learning model, where the student just does and listens to what the teacher says without actually asking about the information or experiencing what they are learning for themselves, just because the teacher is authority, has been implemented for quite a long time. But nowadays, the education has been transforming. That's why today, myself, Juan Guapacha, I'm going to talk about the role of a teacher in children's development regarding the video called How to Understand Children's Brain to Educate Them Better, held by the psychologist Álvaro Bilbao. In the conference, the psychologist shares with us some concepts about children's development and children's learning, such as empathy, emotional regulation, and discipline, which are very important for both parents and teachers, because these concepts help us to first, understand how these processes work in children's minds and also help us create new strategies in order to provide the children with an effective, integral, and flexible learning process. And that's why I think that teachers should be learning facilitators who care not only about what the children learn, but also how they do it. In the conference, the psychologist says something very important about how emotions work in children's mind. And he says that we, as facilitators, need to educate the emotional world of children, because if children have the enough resources and the enough strategies to deal with their emotions, to understand that their emotions are not a punishment but a gift, they will be able to free they will be able to be free. They will be able to experience life and knowing that making mistakes it's okay, because that's how life works. And yes, well, having the enough resources to regulate your emotions gives you freedom. That's why they are so important. And I agree with this because, as I said before, it is our job, it is the job of the facilitators and the teachers to provide the students with those resources, because if we're talking about children specifically, they are not likely to know how to deal with what they feel. So this is very important. And for example, it's a personal example. The last semester I had a professor who always at the very beginning of the class started like a mindfulness setting, and I don't know, somehow that created like a comfortable space and expanded our attention and expanded like out our quietness, or at least it did for me, but it worked. So yes, it the teachers have like a such an important role in this, and we need to be aware that if we if we can do something for our students, and if we can do something to make them feel more comfortable and I don't know, quiet at the time of learning, we need to do it. I think that one of the most difficult challenges that a teacher faces is discipline. How to discipline students, how to make them understand what you are teaching, and how to make them pay attention. That's very important. And this is something that is addressed in the video, the discipline. And related to it, the psychologist says something very important. He says that the reward and punishment method is not an effective method for learning. And why I bring this up? Because first, I'm not trying to judge the teachers that implement this kind of strategy, because I know that there are a lot of challenges and there are a lot of situations that might occur that leads you to do this. But what I do think is that there are alternatives, and one of them is norms, putting norms. But when putting norms, it is important to be aware of one important aspect, and is that you put norms before the students break them. Because in that way, the students will be able to know that if they are gonna do something wrong or something that goes against the rules or against the norms, they will know that that is not okay, and that maybe lead them to adapt to the challenges that might occur. However, however, there is something that I think that we need to be aware, or that we also need to be aware, and it is that each student, each child has a different world in them, and that maybe this strategy and these strategies in general might work with one of them, might work with all of them maybe, but the thing is that we the teachers need to be or need to learn how to adapt to. We need to learn, and we need to learn that as the students are different, there might some things that we need to change. There might be some things that we need to do in order to help them all. So it is not like, okay, this works with one of them and it will work with all of them. No, that I don't think that's how it works. And this is important. This is very important because it will help us to avoid like frustration when things doesn't happen as the way we want them to happen. So it is not like only the job of the students to learn how to be patient, how to be empathetic, and how to be flexible and adaptable. We also, the facilitators, need to do it, because we are like the representation of the world for them. And if we don't give them like a good image of how of how a human being is, well, they might have some challenges in the future. When I say that we need to be learning facilitators, what I mean is that we need to be a support, we need to be a tool, we need to be someone who the student can count on when he needs it. And the best way to do it is to understand that we are not machines that give them information. We are human beings. That's the first step, to understand that we are also learning, we are also trying to overcome challenges, we are also making mistakes every day. If we understand that, we will be able to adapt as the same as the children. We will be able to understand that we are trying to do our best, and that's the best that we can do. So I think that would be all for today. Thank you very much, and bye.